Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day today. Today we are going to be testing some newish products, at least new to me. We have some e.l.f., we have some Wet n Wild, and we have an M Cosmetics blush that I haven't tried yet. So let's just get into it. So I don't have a new concealer to try, so we're just gonna go in with the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. And I'm doing concealer first because I have a powder foundation to try. Alright, I'm just gonna let that sit for a little bit, and I'm actually gonna go in with brows because I have the e.l.f. brow lift here. I don't usually like the look of soap brows. I think I'm just doing it wrong, but I'm gonna try this and see. I've tried this once and I didn't really like the way it looked, but I think I should try it again. I think my brow hairs might just be too thin for like a soap brow look, but we're gonna try it anyway. So I have some of the product on the spoolie here, and I'm just gonna try and brush my brows up. So they're all brushed up. I'm gonna take just like the solid part and just kind of push them down. Okay, and I'm gonna take the spoolie and I'm just gonna try to shape them a little bit better. Okay, that actually doesn't look that bad. So I'm just gonna go in and do the same thing on the other side. All right, to fill them in, I'm just gonna take a little bit of my ABH Dip Brow, and I'm gonna try and go really light-handed with this and just fill in the sparse areas. I think they look nice and fluffy, but not like too fluffy. Yeah, I'm really liking how this looks. I'm glad I retried the like soap brow method. Okay, so for foundation, I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. Camo Powder Foundation. I have mine in the shade Light 240W. I have actually tried this once before, but I've only tried it that one time, so I want to go back in and retry it, kind of get more of my thoughts on it. I'm actually going to take this flat, like, kabuki brush. This is a beige Cosmetics No. 3 brush, and I'm just going to go in it like that, and let's just start swiping it on the cheeks. So there's a lot of kick up in the pan, so just be aware of that. I'm getting really light coverage, which I don't personally mind. It does come with like this little cushion in here. I don't usually like using these, but that might give you more coverage if that's what you're looking for. Shade-wise, this is actually a pretty good match for me. So I'm trying to build coverage just a little bit on the outside of my cheeks where I have some like darker pigmentation. I won't say that it's super buildable, but it did cover it just a little bit more when I applied more. In terms of how it looks on my skin, it doesn't look bad. It looks just a little dry, especially near my under eyes. The concealer, the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer doesn't usually do this on my under eyes, but it looks just a little bit drier. I don't mind how that looks. I mess up my eyebrows a little bit though, so I'm just gonna go back in with the spoolie and I'm gonna try and brush that back out. So I actually do think this is looking pretty decent. I do have dry to like normal-ish skin. On my skin, it's really not looking bad. For prep, I used the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream, and that's it. So I'm actually kind of liking how this looks right now. I just realized that the items I'm gonna be putting on my cheeks are cream products. So I have the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer, which also is not new to me, but I haven't reached for this in a while, so I thought I would go back into it. and I have the Cosmetics So Soft Stick in the shade Bitten. We're gonna use these, but it might mess with the foundation, so we'll just have to see. Okay, for bronzer, I'm gonna use the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer Brush that is supposed to like go with this. And this bronzer is in the shade Honey Drip. I definitely grabbed way too much. But I do remember that this bronzer shears out like pretty quickly. I actually think that worked out okay, because I know that the putty bronzers have more of like a soft matte finish. Like it turns into more of a powdery finish, so that was actually not bad. It didn't seem to lift the foundation at all, which is also a good sign. I definitely just put a little bit too much on the one side of my face. I also really like the size of this brush. I like that it actually fits in the pot, because I know a lot of my brushes don't, and I feel like that blended it out really easily. For blush, I'm going to use the Cosmetics So Soft Stick in the shade Bitten. It's more of this like berry tone, which I like. So how are we going to do this? I'm just going to swipe it on my cheeks and then we'll blend it out. And I'm using this e.l.f. Putty Blush Brush, which is kind of just like a stipple brush. Also maybe grab too much of the blush. I do actually really like that color though. This gives me, like, it's pretty deep, but it gives me kind of like a sunburnt vibe. I'm actually really liking that. For the other side, let's just do like a tiny swipe. All right, the blush is definitely very pigmented. You definitely do not need a lot, and even that tiny swipe was a little bit much. I think I toned that down as best as I can. I'll just have to be careful next time, so be warned. The color of it is very nice. I really like this color. I feel like this would be something I would use a lot in either the super cold months where I want to look like a little bit frostbitten, or the super hot months when I can get a little bit of like a sunburnt look. I think next time I try that though, I'm gonna try and pick it up directly on the brush instead of swiping it on, because it was a little bit hard to control that way. It was easily blendable, which is very nice. There was just a little bit too much pigment. I think the area where I swiped it did lift the foundation a little bit. For highlighter, I'm gonna use this Nabla Skin Glazing highlighting powder. This is in the shade Privilege, which is a little bit, it's like a gold with like a little bit of pink in it. I'm gonna use this ColourPop F33 brush. And that is also something that I have used before. I just haven't reached for it in a while, so I wanted to pull it back out. It's also a baked formula, so the way that it looks on the skin is super pretty. I think it gives more like a subtle glow, which I really like. For eyeshadow, I picked up this Wet n Wild color icon palette in Walking on Eggshells. I'm gonna start off with this brownie shade here. Okay, not the most pigmented formula, but I don't mind that. I also didn't use eye primer today, which I probably should have. I do feel like my brows are falling a little bit. I've had to redo them a couple times, so we will see about the lasting power. Okay, next I am going to go in with this dark brown on a little liner brush, and I'm just gonna emphasize my lash line a little bit with this. Not a wing, just kind of darken up the lash line. I want to go in with the pinky shade. Okay, definitely a softer color. It's more like satin than anything. So I'm gonna take my finger. Definitely just a satin color, which is fine for an everyday, but I prefer more of like a shimmer or a sparkle, because this is not giving me really anything at all. I'm not super impressed by that. There's already hard pan in that light shimmer shade, so I'll have to remove that and try again. But I want a little bit more of like an oomph, so I'm gonna go in with the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in the shade Ritz, which is a very pretty topper shade. Okay, so those are the eyes all done. I'm not super impressed with this as of right now, but I will keep trying it. In terms of the brow lift, this brow in particular keeps falling, so I don't know if I used too much product or what, but it keeps falling, and I'm not super happy about that. I'm gonna curl my lashes. I'm gonna use the Cosmetics Pick Me Up mascara. So you can see from the time it took me to put on my mascara, this brow has fallen down again, but only this brow. So I'm gonna take a different spoolie that has no product in it, and I'm gonna try and comb this out. I'm just gonna go in with the Fenty Gloss Bomb in the shade Fussy. Alright, and that is the finished look. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you've tried any of these products and if you like them or hate them. Or if you want to give me some product recommendations for the e.l.f. brow lift, or like tips to get this working for me. I really want to like the effect of like laminated brows, but I don't know, every time I've tried it has not worked out for me. So let me know what your thoughts are on this, and if you've tried that, and if you have any tips, I would really appreciate them. As far as the foundation, the powder foundation, I like it. There's a lot of kickback in the pan, so I can see how I would run through this relatively quickly. This is the only powder foundation I've tried besides the Bare Minerals Loose Powder Foundation, so I don't know if the kickback is normal or if it's not. In terms of the way it looks on my skin, it looks fine on my skin. The shade match is pretty good. I will say my skin looks kind of dull, which I don't mind, but I'm sure you could fix it with like a little bit of setting spray. In terms of the bronzer, I'm glad I pulled this out again. I like the tone of this a lot, and I feel like you can never go too much with it because it blends out so easily and it kind of shears away after blending for a little bit. For the blush, this is so pigmented. I do like the shade a lot. I like this color on me in the summer and the winter time. It's very creamy and very easy to blend out. It picked up the foundation a little bit, but that's because it was a powder foundation. I'll definitely try this out with different foundations and get back to you on that if it always lifts up the foundation. In terms of the highlighter, it's one of my favorites. I really like the effect it gives, and it's not too glimmery or too shimmery, but it does give a pretty effect on the skin. The last thing that I want to talk about is this eyeshadow palette. I will definitely be trying this eyeshadow palette with an eye primer underneath. I will also try using the shimmers a couple different ways, but in today's application I wasn't super impressed with the way it performed. The mattes I tried in here were fine, like the light brown and the dark brown, those were fine. They blended out really nicely. The pigmentation was fine, but the shimmers were a little lackluster. They look like they'd be fine for people who don't like wearing a lot of glitter on their eyes, but I am not one of those people. In my opinion, it was a little lackluster. I feel like you could skip this and go for the e.l.f. one instead. So this is the e.l.f. Bite Size Quad in Cream and Sugar. It's a very similar color story. This one you don't really get like a transition shade, but I like the shimmers in the e.l.f. palettes a lot more than I liked the shimmers in the Wet n Wild palette. The Bite Size powders, or the Bite Size eyeshadows from e.l.f. are actually a little bit more powdery, but I like the shimmers a lot more. So that is it. Please like and subscribe if you liked this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!